Okay, so I'll record it so that he knows what we talked about.
Perfect.
Okay,
I just
cool.
want to make sure that way I understand as well that we're talking both associations right now. So, okay, continue on. You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I know that Lisa Stevenson will be leaving us soon, which I'm very sad about. She's done such an awesome job. So I also didn't know what communication looked like. So that's the other one of the other things that I wanted to talk about. Just posting wise or who's taking that over, things like that. And then yeah, that's about it. Is there anything we should add to the agenda that you guys were thinking about over the weekend when this meeting popped up?
I'm going to add in, just from the BCC perspective, how to deal with companies and guest speakers. Those are my two big ones. I'm sure it's already kind of going to be built into this agenda you have, but we'll kind of go over those a little bit more as well.
Okay, perfect. Companies and guests. Okay. Awesome. So at the beginning of the summer, I know that I had talked with Marcus and I've made kind of role clarity sheets for each of my VPs. So I just want to kind of set expectations about what everybody's doing in the process so that it's not like, oh, well, I was waiting on so and so, but so and so didn't even know. So what are we thinking process wise, Taylor?
Yeah, so traditionally and currently, we have four different chapters in the Healthcare Leadership Association. The two main bodies are the undergrad and graduate chapters. And usually it's one of our chapters that are putting the events requests through, requests for like a room reservation, as well as the handshake, facilitating the handshake. That's usually with you guys. We're kind of wondering what would be best in terms of on our side, if we just have one person for the entire undergrad, graduate, the whole shebang, or if we have, if it's a undergraduate chapter week or the graduate chapter week, because we have all of our events combined. We don't ever do events where it's just the graduate students. I'm pretty sure, like Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's always all together. Um, so whatever is best from your guys' end, I think one of our main questions is what you guys would like to see. Marcus, as the VP of undergrads, tradition like last year, oftentimes it was just the VP of undergrads for the event management that would do that. But we can figure out whatever, system that you guys would like. Because it's better to have just one person than four different people or two different people. Just trying to get your guys' perspective on what works best.
Chantel, I need to clarify for you. Yes, all the events are combined, but they are hosted by different clubs. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say if all the events are combined, we should just combine the clubs. That's
My
not the
question
case.
is why?
Yeah. So we do have events that are specifically focused on graduate students. We do have events that are specifically focused for undergraduate students. Everyone is invited, right? Like that is the HLA event for the week, even if it's a graduate event. So everyone is invited, but it is directed towards graduate students hosted by the graduate club, or it is directed to undergraduate students hosted by the undergraduate club, and the same for providers of law. So that's why we're split.
So my caution to you is that the dean's office is doing a lot of weeding and deleting. So you need to have clear differences in your charters and of why these events need to be as separate. Why don't we just have one HLA? Because you can still have an event under one HLA that says graduate or undergraduate, and then it's just the title of the event. So I'm not saying we need to do this right now, but no, this is coming down the line that Blair is going to be asking,
Yeah.
why is this two? Why don't we just have one? So think that throughout this semester, because that question will come down with a lot harsher questions
Oh yeah.
later on. So
We've dodged it for a couple years, and quite frankly, I'm not against combining, but other people are.
yeah, and I think it's not necessarily the presidencies. I think it's in the department that we've always had pushback on having two. So
Yeah.
just a heads up, that's coming down the line. So make sure that we have clear why we need to, or should this just be one, but we do specific events. If that's the case, we can deal with that a little bit further down. But Taylor, getting back a little bit more to processes, it's always nice to have just one. However, that one needs to know all. Last year, we ran into problems where we thought we were dealing with one, and then it would go to the graduate and they would say, wait, whoa, what, why is this happening? No, it should be this. And there was miscommunication within the two associations, hence the trouble we have with two, and we need to know which ones are going to be run graduate, which ones are going to be undergrad, and if everybody's invited, that's just fine. We don't mind that part as much. As far as process, I understand, Kimberly, you said you guys are having a meeting that will have all of your events hopefully planned for the semester. We do understand wrenches get thrown in consistently, but that's great that you guys are getting ready to have those planned. I would say as soon as you are done with that meeting, whoever, if it's one or two for the two associations, gets Ellie on the line and says, hey, here's our calendar. Next step is going to be getting it into the system. Guest speakers is going to be the hardest part. The guest speaker approval, you have to go get that approval first through the guest speaker form on the Marriott tools. If you have questions about where that link is, that's fine. We can send it to you afterwards. But send that form, that goes straight to Sarah Allred in the dean's office. Once that form is approved for that speaker, then it gets sent back to you saying this speaker is now approved. Now you can go reach out to that speaker. So don't reach out to any speakers until after you get that form back from Sarah. Once you get that form back and you've reached out, now what you put in the club system is the final event. That's the date you want. It's the time you want confirmed with the speaker. That's what we're approving. That should make hopefully the approval process once it's into clubs go much faster. So your Thursday meeting, if you have guest speakers coming, that's your first step, is make sure to get all of those submitted to Sarah so that then you can start finalizing plans and get it into the club system. The tricky part with the approvals on the club system is nobody in my office pushes the pretty green button. So that is all run through the dean's office. We will help you with your handshake. Yep, we'll get that all set up and get you the QR codes. We'll get you the room. Ellie's going to be on top of making sure whenever something comes in, she's going to reach out to campus scheduling, get the rooms as quick as we can. We can't ever guarantee the rooms. Unfortunately, that's just the university. And the other key factor is we can't reserve rooms until after the ad drop deadline, which is September 10th. So if you are hoping to have any events before that, there's no guarantee on the room. We do our best to get a reservation for that date, but campus scheduling can kick us out. It's just the unfortunate thing.
But our September 11th date is confirmed because that's a hosting room, correct?
Yes, that's for the
Opening social.
Yes,
Okay.
that one is approved.
Yeah, hosting rooms are the
Yes.
only thing we can reserve early. So
Yeah. And that's what, if most of them are, that's the other thing is hosting rooms, especially in the Tanner building, they fill up so quickly. And so, we have a lot of associations. They're like, oh, I want this room in the Tanner building. I'm sorry, that got reserved out in June. Like some of these things, we've been doing this all summer long. And so that's the thing, if you want those bigger rooms, especially, and it goes, same thing for, that room is in the Wilk too. Same thing with the Wilk, they're going to fill up fast. And so that's why a lot of these events we need to get submitted a lot sooner, so that you can have those bigger rooms, or else, we're getting down to weeks before and it's, I'm sorry, but it's going to be taken. So.
And the hard thing with rooms is that it's very much campus scheduling. We're at their whims, and we wish we could go over there and take over for them for a week and get it worked into shape for how we need it, but unfortunately we can't. So, but they rely on the club system. So if it's not in clubs, they will not give us a reservation. So that's another tricky part with timelines is, get them all in there as fast as you can. Guest speakers is going to be the trickiest part. But if it's our hosting rooms, we can pre-reserve them for you, and then we confirm them once it's in clubs. But any questions other than that about rooms and reservations? Or just about events in general?
Yeah, so speaker approval is just a quick question. So you'll send us the link, and that's to the Marriott Tools link or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the form is on there that we can submit that through.
Yes.
Okay.
And with that form, if it's one speaker for an event, it's just one form. If you have a panel that you want to come, you can submit like 4 speakers for a panel for that event. So the speaker form is per event. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
How can I submit those like today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'll have Ellie send that as soon as we're done with this call. She'll send it over to you guys. You can go find it in your Marriott tools as well. I want to say just as events and guest speakers. I think there's a link to it there, but Ellie will send it. We've had some students that have had trouble finding it on their tools. So if so, that's fine. We'll get it to you. But yeah, get those submitted now. It's the same type of vetting process. You have to go and put their information in. It just makes it an easier process on the dean's office to get them approved quickly.
So submitting an approval for a speaker is completely different than submitting an approval for an event and,
Yes.
you know, the room request. So the speaker is separate. The room request, is that joined together with, that goes to you guys, the BCC, both the room, the handshake, and just like the dates, all those details.
All of those details, for the most part, are going to be with the club's event submission.
Right.
However, that being said, you can email just straight out to Elliot and say, hey, here's our calendar of events. Here's the rooms we would like. And she'll do her best to try and get you those rooms. But we do have to have them in the club system first before we can get any rooms through campus scheduling. So the rooms and the event approval is all on the clubs.byu.
Okay. Just an add-on question to that. So that process can't be done until after September 10th, the drop deadline
For classrooms.
for
So you can
classrooms.
go ahead and submit your events now because we send out a list to campus scheduling when we get to the add drop deadline to try and get our rooms as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So we don't want to wait till the add drop deadline. I'm just warning you that you won't have a room confirmation until after.
So on that, on the form, I tried it last week. We're, you know, just kind of looking through it. I submitted an event request and it requests that we put in the room that the event's going to be in. Do we just not fill that part out? I called campus scheduling like it directed and they were trying to work with me to figure it out. So I don't know,
And then they would have said, oh, wait, you need to go talk to the BCC.
probably.
So when you guys fill out an event, were you under the graduate or the undergraduate? I'm just going to go pull it.
Undergraduate. I just went to the plus events thing and started filling out that form.
Perfect.
After which it
So
told me to
when
call
you
it
fill it
campus.
out, I'm going to just pull it up so I see what you guys see.
Perfect.
Kind of. My system always shows me stuff a little bit different. But
I
you
can do
will
it too if
put-
you like.
Oh yeah, if you have that pulled up, you can share your screen. Where it says the room, there's a place you can submit a room number, but above it says, do you have a room, yes or no? And you guys will click no, but you can always put a room number in there, and I would say put TBD, to be determined, and then the room you want. And then from our end, as soon as we have your room reserved, we'll take off the TBD and we'll put the final room in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. No, wrong one. Can you see it all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, the club system, there's always an error.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's
it's not
awkward.
you, it's the website. Sometimes if you go through an incognito window, it'll pull up.
I digress. But it sounds pretty straightforward. So there should be an option that says, like, do you have a room yet? And we just say no and then proceed with requesting. Okay.
Yeah, and if for some reason it does not let you submit with that, let me know quickly, because that means I need to go talk to the website designers and say, hey, this feature can't work for how we operate. Let's get this changed.
And when it directs us to call campus scheduling to reserve a room, don't do that.
No,
You guys.
because eventually my hope is I can get you guys on that system. Right now, this is our gatekeeping process, so that if you guys ever have a company coming, we always know about it. In the past, the problem with our associations was that they went rogue and they would start inviting companies to campus that the BCC was already doing stuff with, and it created chaos. And then these companies had a terrible experience. So the Career Center just said, nope, stop, we're done with that. And said, we will schedule every room because that way everything has to pass through us.
Okay.
At some point, I'm hoping I will change that so you guys can schedule your own rooms, because to be honest, it is a hassle because we just become the middlemen. It's
Yeah.
easier to send you guys to do it. But for right now, it's the process we have to do. So just reach out to us. We'll get it as fast as we can, and we'll try to be as smooth as we can. I know we've had some hiccups and bumps in the past. We're trying to work out the wrinkles on our end so that it is not as stressful for you guys. And half of the stress really just comes from campus scheduling, because sometimes they just are a struggle to work with, but we are working on building that relationship a little bit better. Kind of on that note, when it comes to companies, do you guys do a lot of events with companies? A few here and there?
I would say a fair amount, but definitely not every week or.
So I've been working, and Ellie is going to be new to this process. I've been working on a new process for our office on how we handle companies with associations. And you guys may or may not like this, but it requires a weekly meeting. This meeting can be as short as 5 minutes if there's nothing happening. It can be as long as 30 minutes if there's a lot of companies coming. Again, it varies mostly by association. But really, we want this to be a touch point where our office is talking to you about, okay, what companies are you contacting? What companies have reached out to us and want to work with you, and really just gives us a touch point on everything involving recruiting and companies for your association. Does that make any sense, or are there concerns?
Taylor and Kimberly, you should be sure that Erica is wrapped into that weekly meeting. That would be great.
And our hope is that this doesn't become a pain kind of a meeting, but this way we are consistently in contact with you guys and you're in contact with us. And it's not something comes up last minute and everybody's scrambling because we haven't had any kind of communications. So as you guys, if you're reaching out to companies, those guest speaker things count. If they are a company guest speaker, then that doesn't actually have to be a guest speaker approval process. That just needs to go through Ellie, and it goes through the BCC and becomes a company event, which doesn't even end up on clubs. It just ends up on Handshake. So if you ever have companies coming, make sure Ellie's aware and knows.
Can we role play then? We just actually had a company reach out to us that wants to host events. So DaVita Kidney Care, they reached out to us saying, hey, we have a couple of BYU alumni and they're coming out for career fairs for healthcare leadership and for supply chain management. That's the first week of October. And they reached out saying, hey, we have a couple of different events that we can do. We can do a recruiting session, or we can do an interviewing and networking session, or a case workshop, a bunch of different options. And they would send 2 to 3 BYU alumni guest speakers that are currently working for their company. What would that process look like right now, since we're like 5-6 weeks out of the first week of October? What would you suggest we do on our ends with this proposed process that we just discussed?
So I would say, as soon as you get that email from DaVita saying, hey, we're coming and we want you guys to be a part of this, here's what we're thinking. You say, that sounds so great. We want you to come and meet with our association. Let me loop in my Business Career Center representative, Ellie, so she can talk to us a little bit about what's going on right now in the Tanner building as far as availability. That also allows Ellie to pull up DaVita's Handshake account, because I just pulled it up while you were talking, and they have an info session already planned for December 3rd. So it could be that maybe they preemptively already submitted an event before they reached out to you to reserve the date, and then they reached out to you, say they wanted to come. I don't know that that's the case. Yeah, this is just an example.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
That's fine. That's what I'm doing for.
But that's the goal, is that as soon as a company reaches out to you, you say, great, we want you to come. Let's work out some dates. Let me get my Career Center representative, because Ellie's going to be able to tell you what's already going on in the building, what's going on with recruiters, because that time frame that DaVita is asking about is, again, right around career fairs. So we have a lot of companies that are coming and a lot of companies that want to do events. So looping here in early helps you to schedule that and reserve that space quickly, not necessarily rooms. I mean, just timing on the calendar to be able to get DaVita what they want. And it makes sure that we know that DaVita is coming, so we don't schedule something else also targeting HLA at the same time. Does that make sense? Okay.
Because we have different members of our team that are over specific companies, and if it's not me, like, we have different representatives that work with them with those recruiters, and so we can get a better idea of who they've been working with and how DaVita kind of does things that we know from both the association and from the company side.
With that, Ellie has a new what is the word I want there? Kind of agenda form for these weekly meetings we want to have with you, that she'll introduce to you guys probably right after your next meeting when you guys have your calendar ready. she'll bring that in, and so you guys can kind of go over everything together in a little bit more detail as far as company side of things. My goal, the whole point of the Business Career Center is companies and recruiting. So when you guys do things like opening socials, I know you care, I don't care. We have to still be a part of it, and we have to help you reserve your rooms. But I don't care about the social events as much. I care about the company events that are coming. So our main focus as a Business Career Center is going to be to talk to you guys about your company events that are coming. That being said, we are still involved in all of those other events that happen because we have to help you get the rooms, but you guys are going to be more heavily responsible of the details. So if that event is in clubs and it's missing information, it's not going to be us going and updating it. It's going to be you working with the dean's office to make sure they have what they need. So you have to keep a close eye on those events. When it comes to the company events, you bet I'm going to keep a close eye on those ones. I'm going to make sure my team's keeping a closer eye on those ones because that's what our main focus is. So hopefully that will help steer our side of things on how our relationship works, and it will start to relieve some of the confusion that we've had in the past of different events that are happening at different times and overlap. And I know we've had a lot of kind of issues in the past. We're hoping this semester is going to go a lot more smoothly because we've worked out some of those kinks from our end. So any other questions or concerns as far as any of that goes? Everybody's good. Ellie, did you
Excited for
have?
that weekly huddle. That'll be great. I think that's a
Um,
really wise way to just be on the same page. So
Yeah.
As far as on my end, I just want to know who I should coordinate with. As of right now, who wants to be LinkedIn, who wants to be CC'd on emails, going back and forth about events? Who should I have on those?
Ellie, I know that they're gonna have an answer for the students, but can you CC me on everything that's coming from you? Thank
Yes.
you.
you're going to go ahead, Kimberly.
Well, I don't want to speak for him, but as far as I understand, Marcus is our person. So anybody who is HLA related who's seeking a BCC approval will be going through Marcus. So
Okay.
is that kind of right, Marcus? Am I voluntelling you?
No, I think that's fine, and I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, like how that's going to work between John and I and all of us. And I guess we can talk more about that this Thursday. But yeah, if I can definitely do all of that coordinating, if that'll make it easier. But I think as long as we're all on the same page, which is a good thing, we're having this meeting, and especially that we can work really well with Ellie. And I know you were mentioning, that you guys have worked on things from last year that could be improved. So as well, if there's any feedback like, hey, you guys are submitting these things wrong, or if you could do it sooner, that would make my job easier. I think when everyone works together to make the other people's jobs easier, it'll go a lot smoother. So I think that's the cool thing. We're all working together to achieve our purposes. So, but yeah, I definitely want to be included on those. But we can talk a little bit more about how exactly we're going to have that work within our organization. As we've mentioned, we're meeting all of us, like a huge group of us on Thursday to discuss a lot of things for the semester. So.
Okay. Yeah, and if anything changes, as of right now, so Marcus and Emily for sure on those emails. Yeah, if anyone else wants to be looped in, you can let me know, and I can just CC. It's pretty easy. I'll just add people on the emails. But
And
Does
I
that
was
sound,
from
does
our
that sound
end.
good, Emily?
Sorry, Taylor.
Just confirmation with Emily. Does that sound good? Just you and Marcus? Okay.
From our end, if you guys are ever sending emails to Ellie, copy me. Because if for some reason Ellie's out of the office or anything's happening, I will be the one to make sure, oh, I know Ellie's gone. I'm going to make sure this gets taken care of by somebody else on my team. So always copy Chantel_Stokes on any of your emails. That way I see it.
and if you don't have it, whenever I reply, I'll always loop her back in if it's not already in there. So that's why, and like we CC a few different people, like I CC like my senior manager and like different people so they can see what's going on. That's the people that are on there. That's where my NCCing people on so they can see it in our office. So, okay. I don't think I had anything else on my end.
Anything else from you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have anything else for us, Chantel? You are the keeper of all things important.
From all things associations.
Yes.
It's a great time. I don't think so. I know that we had some bumps last year. Again, We hopefully have worked those out. If stuff comes up, please let me know quickly. And if they're involving Ellie, don't worry, you can still let me know. But she's on top of things. I think she'll do great for you guys this year. I did handpick her to be over you guys because I know that she'll take care of you and make sure everything goes smoothly. But when those bumps come up, don't let them fester. I want this to be that we can have a working relationship, not a, oh, we hate working with the BCC. So let us know quickly so we can fix them and make this a smoother process for you guys. We don't want tension between us because that's when things get harder for us to work. So please let us know. And if there's something that you're like, oh, this would work so much easier if we could do this, give us that feedback too. We're constantly trying to improve our systems and your feedback helps us. So don't be afraid to say, hey, we'd really like it if we could do this system this way. We're open to feedback and open to your suggestions, but I think this year will go a lot better.
I'm feeling
And I
great.
think too, I mean, a lot of what I'm kind of newer somewhat to like associations. I've been working mainly with companies for the past little while. And then we're kind of combining our companies and our associations team. And so all of us kind of have some companies we're working with and some associations. And so honestly, like this is a learning experience for me. So I can be humbled, like it's totally fine. You're like, why are you doing this? Just tell me and I'll change it and I'll get better. But it is something like, yeah, like I'm totally whatever you need me to do, like kind of help me along with it too, just because yeah, I'm a little bit newer to some association things. So
That's great. I'm excited, Ellie.
great.
Can you just ask one more clarifying question? So once September 11th hits, that's when we can start requesting rooms. That's when Marcus will be emailing Ellie with Chantel copied to it, saying, hey, here's a list of 10 events that we have planned out for the next 2 months or 3 months or whatever. Can you look into getting rooms for this? Would that be what you would expect, or what would you expect from us once September 11th hits?
Send us those early. So
Send us
we
early.
reach out to campus scheduling on the 11th,
Yeah.
but you can get them to us as soon as you have them planned.
Good.
That being said, if they're not in clubs, campus scheduling will just go, nope, that's not in clubs. I can't do anything with it. So you can send it to us as soon as you're done with your meeting on Thursday. You can send us that list with the request of rooms.
As long
And go
as,
put it in clubs as
Yeah.
fast as you can.
okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
sooner the better. I mean, we're putting this all on one report with all the rooms, suggestions. And so if we can get all of yours on there at once, that's great. Let's put it all on there so that they're ready. You're further up on the list to try and get these rooms. So
Just a follow-up question too. I know it's not crazy feasible, and Emily, we've talked about this before along with other leaders, but like trying to figure out a single room that we can consistently have, how feasible is that to like consistently get, I don't know, Wednesday nights room 151, or I know that we've really liked having the 7th floor, the NAC room. How feasible would that be? What would we have to do from our end to see if we can make that happen?
So it's not unheard of. We have many associations that do that. The hard part is you listed 2 rooms. 710 and 151 are the most popular and sought after rooms. So less likely to get that every week at the same time. Some other rooms, it's much easier for us to just say, yep, you've got this room all semester on this date at this time. That being said, it also has to be on your clubs. And if it's a recurring meeting, like this is a presidency meeting to talk about events, yeah, we can get that approved really quick and be reoccurring. If it's an event that changes, like you have a guest speaker and then you have a opening social and then you have those are harder to guarantee the same room every time because it has to be separate approvals and separate room requests. That being said, we can do it usually if you've got it to us in advance and if the room is not already reserved and booked for something else, because the rooms are all first come, first serve. So possible, harder if you want the popular rooms.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Anything else?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Kimberly, do you have anything else?
No, this is really good to know. So it sounds like it sounds like as soon as Thursday hits and we have a plan, submit it to you guys, put it on clubs, and then add drop deadline, get rooms, and be set. Is that kind of the process?
Yes, I do want to
Okay.
set some expectations. I
Okay.
did say we get the rooms on our draft deadlines. We're working with campus scheduling. We will probably get your first few reservations for September. Hopefully, I really hope we get them on September 11th. But it will take us a little time to get the ones after that. We're gonna, I fight with campus scheduling, guys. I do fight on your behalf. But it is a struggle for us to get them quickly. Some of them you will not get until 2 weeks later, but we'll try to make sure those are all the October events. For September, we're gonna try and get those that first week, September 11th through hopefully the 13th or something like that. We will hopefully, everybody pray, please. We'll hopefully have all of those for you.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay, anything else? Any other?
I think we're
I
good.
just I just have one more question for you. So from your experience, it sounds like you're very knowledgeable and you've worked a lot in this area. What do you think is the biggest mistake or error that a lot of organizations commit that we can try and avoid to make sure we get all of these events through fluidly?
Lack of information. If you guys don't, if you say you're serving food, but you don't tell us where the food is coming from, Katie will kick it back and say, I need more information. If you say there's a guest speaker, but we don't have a guest speaker form, it's going to get kicked back to you. So put more than you think you need. If your event is going to be, we're having an opening social, great. Then in the description say, we're having an opening social to meet the new members of our team. We're going to be serving pizza and we're going to be doing this game. Like, just put it all in there at the front end, and then Katie doesn't have a reason to come back and ask you questions about your event. I will say food is the biggest one. Who you invite is the next one. If you say in there you want to invite all of campus, it escalates it up to the AAVP office, which takes an extra 2 weeks to get approved. If you mean that we're inviting our association, but they can bring their friends if they want, just say you're inviting your association and invited guests. That one will get approved quickly. If you really are trying to invite all of campus, I'm going to tell you now, it probably won't get approved. So know your audience, know who you're targeting and who you're wanting to come to your events. If you're saying that anything is broadcast or anything like that, it's going to be kicked back quickly. And 90% of the time, it's not actually being broadcast how you think it is. It might be that you're having a Zoom event where you're having a guest speaker, but they're on Zoom, but you guys are all in the room. That's going to be a different approval process than just saying that we are broadcasting or recording this event. So put those details in the description, because those are the questions that Katie and Sarah are mainly going to have of why did you say you're recording it? Who's actually going to be there? Where is it going to after you record it? Because if it goes certain places, it has to get more approvals. The second one is going to be risk management. If you say that you're going out to play pickleball, it has to go through the risk management approval process as well. So make sure we've got all that description in there, and then it gets sent there and they don't have questions saying, oh, well, what are you actually doing? What games are you playing? How are you doing this? Where are you doing it? Just put it all there at the front so that then it just goes smoothly through. Does that make sense? Okay.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, guys. We obviously have a lot to discuss, and we're going to discuss more on Thursday. And Chantel, I am going to have a much closer eye on these associations this year. So it's going to be great. We're going to have a great year.
It's going to run so much smoother than last year,
Yeah.
because it was also my first year last year.
Mhm.
So we've worked out some hiccups.
Yeah, it'll be great. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. If you have questions, just come let us know.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Emily, I kind of played us on that one, asking right away about the.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay,
know that
so
was a thing. That's crazy.
So, okay, here's the deal. First of all, as a general rule of thumb going forward, before we have a meeting, especially with outside people like the BCC, run any massive questions by me, because I probably know the answer. To be quite frank, I probably knew 95% of what they just said. It's great that we had FaceTime with them. We were able to make that relationship. I think Ellie seems great. 1 second, Sonia. Sorry. Like, that's awesome to build that relationship. And Chantel is much more on our side this year than she was last year. But again, like, I can help you through a lot of these things. So can I talk at you for like 5 minutes, get some important things out, and then you guys can ask me questions? Okay. So you guys kept asking for a process. You guys kept saying, what's the process? What's the process? So I made one for you. It's in this little sketch right here. So if someone wants to make it look beautiful, that'd be great. Okay. The first step that we're going to do on Thursday is every event needs an idea, right? So we're going to get out the big calendar. He's going to have, yay, we're doing this big calendar. Every single one's going to start with an idea. And sometimes that idea is literally just post-acute care, right? Like it's just idea. It's just like large topic. From that large topic, you then need to narrow it down. And we're going to do this on Thursday. I'm going to stay there and micromanage this. Who's in charge of that? So it has to be a chapter. So it has to be the graduates are taking this, the undergraduates are taking this, or the providers are taking it. There's going to be like one that the law takes. Okay. Once that chapter is in charge, that chapter now has that activity. That's how we have to run this so that we don't get shut down. So that chapter now does the rest of these processes, which means, well, they can help, the other chapter can help with the ideation, obviously, but now we need a speaker, or if you want a speaker, who is that going to be? That once you have that speaker in your mind, can you still hear me? Okay, sorry, my headphones got weird. Once you have that speaker in your mind, it needs to get approved. So if you're like, okay, we're gonna have David Entwistle Zoom in from California, right? Okay, if that's your idea, or that's the idea that Britt threw around, that needs to be approved before you can do anything else, before you can even ask him. If your speaker is Britt Barrett, Tad Morley, Dean Madrian, right? If it's someone on campus, the approval is much quicker, but you still have to say this is an on-campus speaker. You don't have to fill out the form, right? You don't have to do the form because the form is only for people who are coming, who are not currently hired by the university, right? The form is for off-campus speakers, but you do have to attach that speaker to your event because the next step is now, okay, I'm backing up. The next step is now actually food. Sorry, I'm drawing this all up. The next step is, okay, quickly, what food are we eating? Are we eating Costa Vida? Are we eating whatever? Are we doing pizza? And I have more information about this. I'm just going to tell you guys now. On Thursday, I have a whole list of things to run through, but we're implementing a new budget for you guys. We're saying a guideline of $2,000 a month. And that's between all of your events. So notice how some are graduate, some are undergraduate, right? That means you guys have to communicate about what has been spent, right? You're staying around $500 a month. $500 a week. But if you go over, you need to notify the other team. Hey, we went over a little bit. You guys might need to do pizza next week. Or we did pizza, so you guys can go over. Right? We did something small, right? So about $2,000 a month. Obviously, nothing happens if you go over, other than Britt says, don't do that. Okay. You have your idea, you have your topic, you have your chapter, you have a speaker you did that form. You have an idea for food. Now that you've done all of those things, it now has to go into the club's website. Someone has to submit it in the club's website, and it has to be submitted under the chapter which is doing it, right? So if it's a graduate event, it needs to go into the graduate chapter. So that's the thing. They tried to do it where they pushed all of the events through the undergraduate chapter. The danger with that is they then came back and said, you need to shut down the graduate chapter because they're not running any events. So whoever is in charge of the event, that's why I'm kind of pushing this big thing of who's in charge of this event. Because I know everyone's invited, this is this, but we need to appear as if we are two different clubs. So whoever's in charge of the event puts it on clubs. I can go in and approve it. It goes up to the dean's office, all of these things. Now that it is in clubs, it can get a room. So do you see how all of these things have to happen really early? 1 second, baby, I'm almost done. So all of these things need to happen really soon. The good news is a lot of those beginning ones, idea, topic, and chapter, and sometimes even speaker, are going to happen on Thursday. So then once you have that big calendar, you can kind of say, okay, here's what we're doing. And even if the idea is, long-term care, whatever, the graduates can say, oh, we'll take that one. You guys take that one, right? I need this to be very organized. Who's doing what? Who has in charge of what? Then what food is going to be there? Put it in the club's website. Okay.
Questions or not yet? No worries if not yet.
I'm going through this weird little thing that I made. Yes, questions.
Okay, so this is phenomenal. I mean, like, I think a lot of the summer and just Kimberly and I communicating has been, all right, who's gonna be doing what? Like, why, which chapter does what, which assignments do we need to have just one person do each week? I would love to see we just talked about that, right? Submitting the event onto the club's website is a per chapter thing. So if the law chapter is running the event that week, one of their assignments is that their law VP has to go into club's website, submit the event, correct?
Yes.
What other
Yeah,
things
so
are per event? Would you say ordering food?
yes.
Another big
So
one, is that
ordering food. If you are in charge of the event, you are in charge of the flyer for it. You like so graduate. This is at least how I would suggest doing this. I know you guys want to be more collaborative, but this would make more sense to me personally because there are so many of you.
Yep.
If the undergraduate is running an event on hospital administration on October 26th, then they are in charge of getting the speaker there, making sure the speaker has a parking spot, making sure they're confirmed, making sure the food gets ordered with me 2 weeks in advance at least, making sure that there's enough food, making sure there's plates, napkins, cups. The room is booked with the BCC, everything is approved correctly. Making sure there's a flyer that goes out in the newsletter the week before, making sure that flyer gets made, making sure that flyer goes on social media, goes up on the Tanner Building screens, right? You are in charge of that event. That is how I would run it, right? So if Kimberly or if Taylor has his own social media flyer making person, that person should make that flyer. Kimberly's person should make their own flyer. I only say this because I've seen 6 years of club leadership and I've been in club leadership too. And it's gotten bigger, we've had more and more problems with people not doing things they need to do. So I know it sounds great to have one person doing everything, but it's not going to work like that when that one person is drowning in classes.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that we know which ones absolutely need to be one person. So you're fine if you have one person for each chapter reaching out to you about food 2 weeks in advance. Because I feel like I remember last year it was better just to have 1 or 2 people doing that. You would prefer having the 4 different chapters, each having a person.
So here's the thing, it's really not going to be 4. Like the law is maybe going to have one event and it honestly probably won't even be the HLA event for the week. It will probably be a law student meetup in the law lounge. Like it's really like they're really not going to be involved. The providers are sometimes going to be doing their own thing. And yes, they should manage their own flyer, their own food, that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's going to be you guys.
So it sounds like my events person, John, would be pushing approvals for the graduate chapter, not necessarily going to Marcus for Marcus to then push the approval, or would Marcus still push the approval for the graduates and just mark it as a graduate chapter event?
You can do that if you want. I would suggest maybe on Thursday you can talk through with Marcus and John. You can do that if you want.
Okay.
I would say that I would give John the autonomy to do it himself. Because what if Marcus gets hit by a train or COVID? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then graduates are being held up by Marcus. You know?
Okay. Yeah, that totally works. And I think John would be fine with that too, but I'll chat with him about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I've worked with John previously too. I think he's great.
Yeah.
The room reservation, though, that'll be just Marcus.
No, because the room reservation is through the BCC. So once you submit it, once you submit it into the club's website, then you say, we need a room. And then they're gonna go find you a room. That's part of the approval process or part of the club's process, right? I only say like when I said like, include Marcus on everything, quite frankly, Marcus and John or whoever it is should be included on everything just so that everyone knows what's going on. Okay, like I said, this is a little odd because basically you are 2 separate clubs that Britt is treating as a singular club, right?
Yeah.
But you guys have your own members, you have your own events. Sorry, wow, my daughter's watching Toy Story 4, and so sometimes it's kind of creepy.
So fun.
You're 2 separate clubs though. You have your own leadership, you have your own events. And obviously you want to co-brand, you want to, reach out to those members who are interested in the other things that the other ones are doing, right? We have one newsletter, we have, one minor, right? But you need to function as your own club in all the ways back here. Okay, what else can I clarify for you?
So I have a quick question. So Taylor and I right now have access to the HLA email, and I've delegated that to somebody who's supposed to, and I was going to submit 2 templates so that all of our communication is uniform to people reaching out to guests or receiving, the little pop-up, you got a new member.
Mhm.
Is that how does that work between our 2 associations if I have somebody who's delegated to the email so that they can reach out and be like, hey, like, welcome, here's some resources, here's the next activity?
I think that's great. Like I said, this is there's some things where it makes sense to have one person, like running the email account, right? Couple rules. I was gonna say 2, but honestly, it might be more than 2. First is if you're reaching out to a speaker using that email or any email, frankly, please CC me, please, or have them CC me. Just so I can make sure that's all good. If our speaker or company, that sort of thing. If you, because I have access to it too, I just don't check it that often because I assume that someone else is taking care of it. So yes, I would say that that's a great thing to have one person. If that's a graduate person, great. And then that graduate person can say, oh, if you have questions, or if like an undergraduate is asking a question in the email, if you have questions, here's this person, right? They can kind of direct them to undergraduate if needed. But yeah, I think one person running the email is probably a lot better. Okay. Turns out it was only 2.
Quick question, just to clarify, there are 3 forms that we have to, or 3 things that we got to do to get an event approved. We have a form for the speaker approval, which they said they'll send a link. We
Yeah,
have
if you just go to marriott.byu.edu and then click on My Tools, it'll be in there.
Okay. And then we have the form for just like the typical, each chapter is gonna click add events under the club's website. That's the second one. And that one gets the room, or that one we'll submit it with the room, the events, that'll get the handshake request, all those things
So you don't submit it with the room, you submit it to get a room.
to get a room.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the email communication that we're going to send her, ASAP, like, hey, we've got these events planned, we need rooms for all of these. That's just one communication. We're not going to need to do that every single week.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
you kind of just want to give Ellie like a master plan. Like, here's our vision for the semester.
Okay. And then
And that
she'll get all the rooms for us, and then we submit that, like we take that room that she tells us and put it into the club's no.
she can't get a room until it is in clubs. So she can say, okay, that's great. I'll kind of, like look for other options, that sort of thing. But she can't do a single thing until it is submitted into clubs.
So we request a room basically by doing that on the club's website.
Yeah. So you say, we'd love this room. That's why she said do TBD dash Tanner Building 408, right? W408.
Yeah.
But you're not guaranteed that room because she can't book it.
Right.
So once it goes through clubs, then it can go up to Ellie at the BCC. Ellie can go in and say, here's this official event. See, it's in clubs. That's how I know it's an event. Then she can book us a room.
So we don't put a room on the club's event request. We
No.
just,
Again,
okay.
you can say this is our wish list of a room, but that doesn't guarantee you anything.
Okay. Are we going to try to get the same room throughout the year, or probably not?
You could sure try, but that room, it'll be like the basement of some creepy building.
Okay.
Like we try every year and it's impossible.
Okay.
So,
then sorry, go ahead, Kimberly.
well, just as a follow-up to that, now that I understand how, like, the forms and stuff, if I'm thinking that, once we get this all figured out on Thursday, I'm gonna like try and put all the approvals in for the whole semester, is how long does this take then? If she's saying, if you submit
Couple
it,
weeks.
okay.
That's what she was saying. Like, yeah, we'll try to get your September ones through, like if we can. That's what she's saying. Like, come September 11th, hopefully we have our September ones booked.
Okay.
And anything that has speakers attached to it has to go up to the dean's office. Like it's an arduous process.
So we really do have to plan the entire semester, if not year, to submit the first week of school.
Yeah, I mean, you could go by ear, but the problem is, again, it's the reason you want to do it all at once is so that you can do all of the thought
Yeah.
forming together.
Yes.
That we can all think out loud together about, okay, what should we do this week? This should be a service project, but then this will be a speaker about whatever.
hmm So my question is, I understand that. I guess I'm trying to figure out like where would this leave any room for this company's idea of like playing it
Okay.
by ear? You know what I mean? That's where I'm confused.
So the company idea is pretty much non-existent to us.
Okay.
If we have a company coming, first of all, that's why I said we should loop Erica into all of these meetings with the BCC because they only care about companies. And that's all that Erica does. Okay. So anytime you're meeting with the BCC, quite frankly, if you have a question and you're emailing, just CC Erica. She is technically our liaison in the BCC. She is the person who deals with our companies. So this thing where like a company hosts an event, that'll happen once every blue moon, and they're gonna email you, say, we'd love to host an event, and you'll say, okay, we can make it work. And sometimes that means booting out another event that, didn't have a guest speaker attached to it, most likely, or the guest speaker was CAD or something, so you can kind of move things around and maybe you'll make a company in charge of one of the events. That's very rare. I would say 1 or 2 times a semester. But yeah, everything else with like, oh, we have a company coming to campus, that's gonna be Erica setting up a tabling event, or they have an info session Tuesday night, right? Like, so we're blasting that out. This is rather rare, but it happens, so we have to go through the BCC.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay.
On Davita's
Anything else?
topic. Yeah, Davita, sorry, totally. I remember that last year we had done an event that Tuesday, the week of conference, but I guess I understood it wrong that we're not going to be doing that anymore, like a regular weekly club event the week of conference.
Yes, so that was because last year the events were on Tuesday, but this year they're on Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Wednesday is the day of the case competition and the scholarship banquet. So
Oh.
we can't have any events that night because pretty much all of you, either of you, any of you, are going to be at the scholarship banquet.
It's on Thursday then. Because then we do case comp and all that on
I'm just
Thursday.
kidding. The scholarship banquet only is on Wednesday night. Then the case competition and the career fair on Thursday, conference on Friday. That's
okay.
correct.
So no event in that week.
No
Unless
event
we
in
do
that
this.
week. Unless you wanted to do it on Tuesday, kind of mix it up, whatever, kind of make it a healthcare week, whatever.
Yeah. No
you
worries. Davita requested Wednesday or Thursday. I was like, oh, we
Yeah.
can do Wednesday because that's our weekly event. So I'll just tell them we can't do that.
Yeah.
And if we have any more requests of that nature, I'll loop in Erica and you and Kimberly.
Yeah. So yeah. And again, if you have a company reaching out like, hey, we'd love to do this or whatever, just be like, sounds great. I'm just, looping in Ellie and Erica just to make sure we're all on the same page, whatever. Like maybe we could find, I would start by saying like, maybe we could find a day that works for you. And then again, now you're kind of looking at what can we shuffle out, delete entirely or move somewhere else if this company wants to come on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the hope, the vision is every Wednesday already has something sitting in it. Right?
Right. I've heard Britt talk about this before. I don't know if this is still a thing or if it's been formalized or if you're aware of this, but I've heard Britt mention before that we don't like doing company, just like company
Sponsored.
events, sponsored
Yeah.
events. Yeah, like recruiting, anything like that, or weekly events. Is that still kind of-
Exactly. That's why I said it happens every once in a while. Mostly when they're really insistent or they're really important, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't happen that often.
Okay. Perfect.
Because most of the time we're going to say, hey, like we don't have any room in our event schedule, but we'd love for you to do a tabling or, whatever. Or Erica, what you should really say is, but Erica could find some other avenues, for you to come visit.
Okay. Perfect. So we need to have, should we already start submitting events for the first couple weeks? Because I know that, obviously the opening socials through the Wednesday after and the Wednesday after that, we already have kind of an idea for those. I understand that usually we do the resume nights, the interviewing night with Erica the week after the opening social. Is that
Mhm.
something we should just go ahead and submit that right now?
I mean, first you need to make sure that Erica's available, aware, and that Britt has it on his calendar. So I would wait until Thursday.
Until
And then,
Thursday.
you know, when we sit down and say, hey, what should we do here? Taylor, you can raise your hand and be like, should we do a resume workshop?
Mhm. Okay. Perfect.
So then theoretically, okay, let's use this as an example. Actually, let's just go through this so we're all feeling good about it. Taylor says, hey, we should do a resume workshop on September 17th. Britt says, great. I write it down on the big calendar. It says resume workshop, blah, blah, blah. The rest of the year falls in line magically. Okay, now we say, okay, which one of you is in charge of the resume workshop? Undergrad says, we're going to take it since we had that fantastic idea. Undergrad's in charge of it now. It says resume workshop dash U. The letter, not like YOU.
Yeah.
Now we leave the Thursday event. We say, oh, we're back at the Thursday event. We're back at this. We say, okay, we just want Erica to lead this. Like, we don't need anyone else. Like, Erica's going to take this on. It's going to be great. We leave the Thursday event. The undergraduates kind of get together quickly, say, what food do we want there? Something that's easy because it's going to be a lot of talking. Maybe just something small like BYU food to go. Some like cookies and stuff, just so people can do it while they move. Okay. Now we have BYU food to go. We have our speaker. We have our idea topic chapter. We have speaker. We have food. Let's submit it on clubs. Marcus takes all of that information, puts it into clubs.byu.edu. He says September 17th, resume workshop hosted by undergraduate chapter because he's in the undergraduate chapter. Resume workshop. We're going to have Erica Card, our BCC director, walk through best practices for resumes and interviews in the healthcare sphere. We're going to be serving BYU food to go, light refreshments and drinks. There will be no outside guest speakers. We would love to be in W4, like the room TBD W408-410, maybe, or like open to anything else. Submit. That goes to me. That goes to the dean's office. That goes to the BCC. The BCC, Ellie then says, wow, a resume workshop. She says, let me see if W408-410 is available. Probably not because it's been booked for months and months, but they can do it in 710 or 151 or whatever. Another important thing to note, Marcus, or whoever does this, is when you submit that, if you have specific requests, you should shoot an email to Ellie. So you could say, hey, Ellie, like I just submitted this resume workshop. Like, because we're going to kind of be talking and moving, it would be best if we could have a flat room or like a case room, not something with auditorium seating. Right? That would be like something that I would say, like, hey, we don't really want to be in an auditorium. Like, obviously we'll take it over anything, but over nothing, but we would love something flat or a case room. She says, great, I'll see what I can get. She says, she goes in and says, you just got Tanner Building 251. She puts it into clubs. It is now on clubs. It is now on Handshake. Now that you have the room number, Marcus in the undergraduate chapter and Taylor in the undergraduate chapter takes all of that information, the date, the time, the room, and puts it into a flyer that they should already have sitting and ready and waiting, usually, to drop into the room number. Resume workshop, hosted by the wonderful Erica Card. Cookies when refreshments served. Tanner Building 251, 7 p.m., Wednesday the 17th. That gets sent to me as soon as you have it. I put it in the newsletter that goes out the next week or whatever. We put it on the Tanner Building screens if you want to do that. We put it on the life sciences screens if you want to do that. Print out flyers, talk about the class, whatever. Boom, done. You host the workshop. It's amazing. Do it all again.
Okay. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Were there any parts of that you were like, that makes no sense?
Oh, not that, but
okay.
Just adding to that. Last year there were quite a few issues with ordering, both food and speaker gifts. How do you want that? Are you still fine? I mean, we talked about each chapter does everything for that week. So when it's our week, Marcus is going to be the guy. Do you expect that Marcus is the one to come and say, you're the one to make the purchase on, what is it? Food, not food to go, but what's the...
Yeah, food to go. Okay, so that's a great question. That's the step that I missed in all of that because usually it's not that hard. So, okay, September 17th, the week before, let's say it's September 10th, right? Marcus says, for our event next week, we need to do this. He goes and fills in the handy dandy form that I have made for you. It's a forms thing. I sent it to you previously, but I'm going to send it all to you again in my big start of semester email. Marcus is going to go into the form and say, okay, we have an event. It's going to be in this room because that room is already confirmed. We want this from BYU Food to Go. And you're going to list out, Marcus, exactly what you want from the website. Like I need you to go into the website and say, I want 3 dozen chocolate chip cookies, 2 trays of mint brownies, paper plates, napkins, or, you know, like think about like, oh, do we have paper plates and napkins in the closet downstairs? And then there's a question down below that says, are you making this purchase or do you want Emily to make it for you? Most of the time, just have me make it because it's a lot easier for you. But sometimes like, or you could also say like, oh, for the opening social, we want to get balloons or whatever. You're going to go into that form. You're saying, I'm buying balloons for this. It's going to cost me about this much, whatever. Then you can click, I'm going to go make this purchase. Then it says, great, wait for Emily to approve this. Then you can go check out a card from the management department. Management department will say, here you go. Here's a card. Here's all the rules for those cards, right? That's why it's easier for me to do it, is because I don't have to go get a card. I can just do it from my laptop usually. But if you're doing something like balloons or speaker gifts or something on campus, right? Or you just want to go grab it, fill out that form, let me know you're doing it, let me know how much it's going to be, and then go get the card from the management department, right? When I say Emily will approve this, I mean, it's going to come to my phone and I'm going to say, sounds good, unless you're buying something crazy. I just need to be aware. I cannot have you guys checking out the management department card and getting anything you want because I have to reconcile those receipts.
Yep.
Okay, so once you fill out that form, then we can deal with it from there. And again, like I talked about, like the budget is really more of a guideline. But obviously we want to stick to about $500 a week, and that's kind of flexible between the month. But yeah, I am the keeper of the funds. So before you go check out a card from the management department, you have to let me know. And if you can't fill out the form because you're somewhere crazy, send me a text.
Follow up with that. So still with the same idea of each chapter is their own club. If it's the law chapter week to do that event, that person, the law president or law VP, whatever it is, or VP of providers, they're the ones to go fill out that form and make sure that we get the speaker gifts, make sure that we get the food order.
Yeah.
It's all on the chapter.
Yeah. So, and then if you're like, hey, like our person is out of town this week doing a case competition, you can borrow someone from the graduate chapter. You could say, hey, could you guys help us out with this? Because I know you know how it works, right? Or delegate someone else. But yeah, if the speaker shows up and they don't have a parking spot and there's no water bottle on the stand waiting for them, there's no gift, there's no food, yeah, that's your chapter's fault.
Okay.
So it kind of sounds like we're 2 departments in the same organization.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Right. And that's how I would think about yourself as 2 different departments who collaborate very well and cross promote, but you are 2 different organizations. You have vested interests in each other, but if you fail, you fail.
Yeah, I think that just considering last year with how many things would fall through the cracks on Spencer Larson and Devin and other people, Kimberly and I were just trying to communicate on, all right, so let's just make sure that we're aware of every single responsibility and every single person who's accountable for that. And I love this idea of, hey, we're all just, different clubs and we're all collaborating really well together. Because I think, it'll make it easier to support each other. If it's the graduate chapters week, then it's all on them unless they reach out to us and they need help with something. So I think it's really
Exactly
a lot easier that way.
Yeah, and like obviously you want to make sure the undergraduates know about that event, in whatever avenues you have. Mostly that's going to be the newsletter, which is my thing. But yeah, it is their week, and you're prepping for your next one.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one more thing. So I know that Kimberly mentioned that Lisa is stepping down. She actually stepped down today, so she is no longer with us. So today was the last day of work. So here's the deal with social media. I'm going to go over this at the retreat.
Good.
But I'm going to give you guys just a preview. They are cracking down hard on social media. They being the scary Marcom's office in the BCC in the Tanner building, the university, and the church. For some reason, we are getting directives from the church about our social media usage, and that applies to club social medias as well. So what that means is I have to have a much tighter grip on social media than I used to. Technically, it should be Lisa's job, but it is no longer hers. So it's fallen back on me. because we don't have anyone else hired right now, obviously. The rule that is coming is that students cannot post on social media. Only an employee can press the post button. That is not the current rule. The current rule is that everything has to be approved by an employee before it goes up. So just kind of like where we're headed, you know, like Chantel said, like we're headed that direction of slimming down. We're headed the direction of you guys can't post yourself. So I know that they had a really great system. The undergraduate had a really great system for their social media. This is this. Right now, as it stands, especially because we have no communication specialist with Lisa gone, I need everything that's going to go up on social media to run across my desk first. Say, this is what we want to post. We're going to post it on this day with maybe even this caption. Great. Yeah.
Getting all plates of cake too.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm almost done. Okay, sweetheart. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Does that include flyers and anything that's gonna go on the television prompts? So Jessica's our marketing person. I'll direct her like, hey, Emily
great.
everything needs to go through Emily. Is she
Jessica,
working from
what's her
Rum?
last name? Oh, yes,
Rum
love
Rum.
her.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, so just direct her like everything that, I mean, obviously like the Tannerbilly screens don't have to go through me because that goes through a different BYU employee, but she's going to send me the flyer anyway, so I'm going to know what's up there because I need the flyer to go on the newsletter. So I'm going to see that flyer. I'm going to say, hey, that's actually spelled super wrong, or you can't say racist things on the flyer, you know?
Yeah.
So, like I'm going to see that. But in terms of social media, do you have someone specifically over social media, or is Jessica going to be doing that as well?
Jessica, unless, things get too heavy and she, has a lot on her plate, then she has the okay to, find a marketing specialist or social media specialist. But
Okay.
so right
And
now,
Kimberly, do
Jessica's
you
doing it.
have anyone who is doing marketing or believes that they are in charge of social media?
Yeah, my marketing person is Matt Evans.
Okay. And does he think he's going to be posting on social media?
Yes.
Okay. So what's going to need to happen then, obviously, and this is why this is good too, is if something's going to be posted, I need both of them to come to me because then I could say, hey, wait, no, the graduates are posting today, which obviously won't happen because there's only one event a week, but sometimes things come up. But yeah, just everything needs to run by me. I apologize. It does feel a little micromanagey, but it is coming from the church.
I don't know. I kind of appreciate it because I would hate for something to go up and be like, ooh, that is not a good look. So I'd rather
Yeah.
have somebody stop me before disaster strikes.
Yeah. So, okay. I also don't know if this is something you can pass on to Jessica and what you just tell me his name was?
Matt.
Is the undergraduate chapter last year had an Adobe Express account where they had a bunch of templates for their flyers and they had a font guide, they had a color guide, they had all the things, right? So everyone who was making flyers just used the same templates. That's why everything looked the same. So does anyone have access to that?
I'm sure I could dig around in the box. Emily, or not Emily, Devin, made a pretty huge president's
Okay.
manual, and I can dig through there. Yeah.
Okay, dig through there, make sure that information gets to Matt and Jessica. That would be great because that's a really easy way. Like it's already made. Let's just use that.
In the meeting that Lisa conducted before she left a week or two ago, she talked about like approved logos and she talked about fonts and all this stuff. What is the timeline though? Are you wanting posts to be on Tuesdays so that it's consistent, or when are we supposed to be getting you the flyers for the newsletters?
So for the newsletters, anything that you want to go in the newsletter, this is important actually. The newsletter is going to be set to send Monday night. So if you want it to be in the newsletter for that Tuesday morning, because it'll go out Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. If you want it to be in the newsletter, it needs to be in my inbox Monday at 5 p.m. Because I'm going to set it to send while I watch Dancing with the Stars at 9 p.m.
I love it.
So it has to be in my inbox. It will not go in, even if it's a flyer for the event. I've done it before where I've sent it and there was no flyer for that week's event because they didn't give it to me. For social media, I care less about that. That's kind of your guys' realm to say like, hey, this is the schedule we want to do, or we think it's important to post this often. That's great. Whatever you want it is. as long as I see it first, I can give that approval so that my boss can say, yes, she approved that before it went online.
Sounds good. All right, cool. Taylor and I can talk later about a schedule of posting then, so it's consistent.
Mama, this is so cute. You have to watch it.
Oh.
How you feeling, Marcus? A lot of stuff, huh?
No, watch it.
I learned so many new things today, and I've been in the club for a while, so.
Well, if you've learned a lot, I'm sure I've learned a lot more. But yeah, it sounds like
It's gonna be so
a lot,
fun.
but I think it'll be helpful to meet on Thursday and get everything planned out, get the ball rolling a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marcus, you and me, we're gonna be best friends this year. I will be right on your side. We'll make sure that things, are pretty seamless.
Yeah,
Sounds-
and as a general rule of thumb, again, like I am not trying to be micromanaging. In fact, I very much like if you guys don't get the stuff done, that event will not go on. Like I'm not gonna save you. The only reason I stepped in to submit the opening social on clubs was because Dean Madrian was showing up. And I'm not letting Dean Madrian show up to a hallway in the Tanner building. But every other event, you guys can fall on your face if you don't ask for help. Here's the deal. If you ask me for help, I will help you out. Okay? So an important lesson to learn, I think early, is just ask me. That's my phone number. Shoot me a text. Shoot me an email. I'm pretty much always stalking it, even though I don't work full time. Even if it's a stupid question, just ask me. I've probably answered it before. I've probably done it 800 times.
Thank you for your patience with me as I'm learning like what you do and what Erica does and who I'm supposed to be talking to. So thank you.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of different things, and I know that like there's Britt is saying different things or whatever, but again, like as a rule of caution, you can always just ask me.
Mama,
Emily, I have your 801 number. Should I
Yeah,
update that one?
that's my work number. It goes to my phone too, but it's just like my work number.
Okay,
So-
so do you prefer we just text to the 503 or?
Yeah, either one. It's just easier to answer. I just have to open Ring Central to open your.
Okay.
It's called the Time Toy Story That Time Forgot. Sorry, I had to read that.
I'm good though. Sorry, we've already taken so much of your time.
No, not at all. This is good. Like I know we're gonna meet again on Thursday, but you guys are the people who are gonna drive things forward. So you need to be very clear on what the process is.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
So, and again, I'm sorry if I'm being harsh or talking fast or whatever, but like,
Would
We-
it be
we-
good to have a little, I'm assuming that you'll probably do something like this, but to have a powwow with the whole crew about how this process works, or is it probably just fine if me, Kimberly, Marcus, and John are all on the same page with this? I
Yes.
was thinking about proposing just a weekly checklist of things just so that everybody's on board and on the same page. Not sure if we need to do that, but I was feeling
would
pretty
s-
like, hey, everybody's got to be on the same page with this so stuff doesn't fall through.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like Marcus is mostly in charge of like the event submissions and that sort of thing. But if there's anyone else that you would like to loop in, sure. It seems like you guys are going to have, correct me if I'm wrong, weekly meetings just with students, correct? Or just leadership?
Yeah.
watch
Yep.
this one?
No. I'm turning it off
So
then.
because my committee was told we're only in charge of one event a month, we're having one monthly meeting and then I do one-on-ones and then a Thursday check-in. So we have a check-in every week. It's just not a meeting. But I mean, we can meet more often if you think that would be helpful.
Well, if I understand, I think Britt mentioned after, or like on Fridays, we're doing an HLA wide meeting.
Yeah, but that's gonna be more like, it's gonna be like, hey, is everything set for this Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then here's the deal. I've done this for a lot of years, and I've done it for a lot of years with him. He's gonna ask you, is everything set for Friday and for Wednesday? And you're gonna say, oh, we don't have this, and he's gonna say, figure it out, and there will be no further discussion. So again, if you need further discussion, you have to ask me. Okay, like he doesn't know the answer. He doesn't want to know the answer. So Taylor, to answer your question, I think it's okay. Like if Marcus and you feel good about the event side of things or whatever, like that's fine. In your weekly leadership meetings, if you're saying, hey, we're kind of scrambling, we're not really sure where our next direction is, say, hey, can you come to our next leadership meeting? And I'd be happy to hop in and kind of say, we need to reevaluate here. Here's what you need. Here's what you don't. And same with you, obviously, Kimberly. That was not like a one thing. Okay. So again, sorry I'm being abrupt. You know that's how I am. You know that's how things get done. So
I can't believe that, it's all fallen on you from the communication side.
well,
Props to
that's
you
what
for taking that on. I
yeah,
mean,
so it used to be my job until we hired Lisa and she had it for a couple months. But
yeah.
so just back to that. But yeah, I have a couple more items of business for you guys on Thursday that I'll kind of go over and rules and stuff. But again, feel free to email me, shoot me a text, whatever.
All right, awesome. This meeting was recorded, so I can send you the recording, Taylor, if you're feeling like sharing it with other people in your committee so that we don't have to have this discussion all over again if you want. Is there anything that we could do to help you, Emily, to show up with prepared on Thursday?
Lots of ideas for what you want events for the year to be. A go get 'em attitude. No, yeah. Again, just like a willingness to get involved.
Awesome.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, Emily, for everything you do. You
Yeah.
are so awesome.
Yes, I will see you all on Thursday.
Yep.
Just bright and early as can be.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.